Now, if you've missed out on getting the FSD drive during the community goal, when it was to kill Cojico at Seoul, it's not too late to get it. So if you're kind of disappointed thinking you missed out on the FSD drive, or if you think you can only have one of each size, I'm going to show you how to unlock it if you missed a CG, or unlock more if you want to buy more. So you want to go to a technology broker, and in order to find technology brokers, the best way to find them is to go on Anara, or if you've been to several of them in game already, you can find them in your galaxy map as well. This is one way that we can find the technology brokers, is just clicking on user data. User data is all the data that from systems that you've personally gone to as a commander. So your Pilots Federation data is data that's shared with everybody in the community. That's kind of like, I don't know, Frontiers data. But user data, that's specifically to your information only. So if you click on Human Tech Broker and you don't see any little yellow dots anywhere, it's because you as a player have not been to any tech brokers yet. But if you have been to some, this is one way you can just search for one in your galaxy map if you want to do it in game. And it'll show you any tech brokers that you've been to. Now, if you haven't been to any and you want to find them a little bit quicker, or find one that's maybe closer that you haven't been to yet, the way to do that is on Anara. Now, when you go to Anara, which is anara.cz, you just want to click on Search Nearest. And then after you've clicked on Search Nearest, you come down here, down at the bottom, it says Technology Broker. Click on there, and then it'll list a bunch of them, whether they're human or guardian technology brokers. If you want to find one that's closest to you, you can go in and do a search here and see the closest one to you. Now, an easy way to copy and paste this is, say if we're trying to search the system right here, if you just click on your system, down over here on the bottom right hand corner, you have copy target to clipboard, so click on there. And then when we come back to Anara, we can just Control V to paste that in. And that's a really easy way to get your systems back and forth from Anara, right? So say if we wanted to go to the next closest one here, which would be this system, you know, at Conward Dock, you can do the vice versa, same way, just click on your search, Control V, and then you get it typed in. Now, once you're at a technology broker, like we are now, or at a station that has a technology broker, just want to go to your contacts, and then you'll see them here under technology broker. And it's under optional internals here. And there's one important note for these FSD drives is ignore this one here, the very first one you'll see, this engineered FSD V1. You can see a bunch of them are called V1s here. This is the old one from a few years ago. This used to be the best FSD drive in the game, but now just the regular SEOs that you can buy at any station, once those are fully engineered, are actually better than these old ones. And these only come on a class 5. The ones that you want to unlock that were with the Cojico community goal are the rest of them here. These are the ones you can pick your size or whatever you want. And the recipes for them are basically the same. So look at a class 2. You can see the requirements of what they need. And each one of them is always going to need a Titan drive component and a propulsion elements. These propulsion elements are like an engineer material that they just store in your inventory of your material inventory in your ship. These Titan drive components here are like a commodity. They actually need cargo racks to carry them, and you need to have one cargo rack for them. So, and if we look at a size 7, see it's pretty much very similar to the same materials that you need. So one Titan drive component for for any FSD drive. If we click around any of them, you'll see they're all require one. The amount of propulsion elements it needs kind of scales up with the size of it as well. But as far as everything else you need, they're all pretty common materials. Now, in today's video, I'm also going to show you how to specifically unlock these two materials here, the Titan drive components and the propulsion elements. These other materials, if you get in this part in the game, you probably already know how to farm them. If not, in the next couple of days, I am putting out a video for the most efficient ways to unlock or fill all your materials. I'm going to do a video just showing you how to fill every engineering material in one day of gameplay. But that'll be for one coming up, so just keep an eye out for that. But right now I'm going to focus on these two and show how to unlock these. Another thing to keep note of is with other pre-engineered modules, like say the Guardian modules and stuff, right? You would pay this recipe one time, and then you could just buy as many of these that you wanted in pretty much any outfitting area. Well, that's not how these work. You pay this price for, say, a class 5. We gotta pay these materials. So the materials on the right is what it's asking for. The numbers on the left, that's how much I have in inventory, right? So if I wanted to buy this class 5, I would have to pay 15 data mine, 24 tellurium, 12 arrays, and 14 chemical processors, 1 Titan drive, and 7 propulsion elements. When I paid that, that would give me 1 FSD. If I wanted a second class 5, I would have to come back here with all these materials again and buy a second one. So what I would recommend doing is, if you have a carrier, this is one of the advantages of owning a carrier, is you can store stuff in your carrier storage. So you can farm extra Titan components and then store them in your carrier. And then later, you can always pull them out and then buy more FSDs if you need. Reason why I say that is I don't know if these destroyed Titans are going to stay in the game forever, if they're going to be a permanent kind of part of the galaxy map, or if they're going to eventually go away. If they do eventually go away, you might not be able to farm any more of these Titan components. So next up here is I'll show you how to go get those Titan components. So both the Titan components and the propulsion elements can be gathered from the same spot. These propulsion elements can also be gathered from Guardian sites as well, I believe. No, they can't. No, that's a different thing. So yeah, both of these Titan components and the propulsion elements can be gathered at the same areas, which is the destroyed Titans. Now, if we're trying to find the destroyed Titans, if you go to your Thargoid War here, it shows you a list of all the destroyed Titans. And you can just click on them, decide which one you want to head to. Right? Now, the older ones that were destroyed a long time ago, they're less corrosive than the ones that are been most recently destroyed. So if we go to Cojico, which is in Seoul, which is where I'm currently going to go to do this. This is nice and close. You are going to want to make sure you bring corrosive heat sinks with you. Now, as far as your outfitting, for what you're going to need to be able to grab these, most of what I show you here is you don't need on your ship. This is my mining build. So you don't need any of these hard points. You don't need hard points at all unless you want them on there. Utility mounts, you do need corrosive heatsink launchers. I would recommend bringing 2 of them so you can be in the corrosive area a little bit longer. Pulse wave scanner, regular heatsink launcher, you don't really need. If you want to be able to lower your temperature so you don't show up on radars in certain situations, having a heatsink launcher is handy, but you absolutely don't need a pulse wave scanner. This is just for my mining build. Cores, just whatever you prefer. Most of this ship is not engineered yet, or not, it's not fully engineered at all yet, so I only use this for mining and cargo hauling. So cargo racks, you are going to want a corrosive cargo rack. I happen to have a size 6 from a previous CG, but if you don't, you can unlock them through other tech brokers. Obviously not a class 6, I think they only come in class 3s. And the only other thing you're going to need is a collector limpet controller. You can either go with a size, whatever size collector you want. Now, a multi-mining limpet controller, the size 3, any of these multi-limpets, you can have up to 4 collectors at a time. So, you know, if you have just one multi, whether it's a recon or a mining, will do fine for you as well. Anything else in this optionals besides a corrosive cargo rack can be whatever you want it to be. I'm shieldless in this build because I like to carry the maximum amount of cargo whenever I'm trading or mining. But, you know, if you want to do shield, that's up to you. So again, the only things you absolutely need to be able to do this is some sort of collector limpet controller, corrosive cargo rack, and caustic sinks. Other than that, everything else is, you know, whatever you feel like having. You bastard. Don't forget your buy collector limpets. That's one thing I forgot to do. Now, once you're in a system that has a destroyed Thargoid, it does show up in your system map, just as the Titan here. And you can just apply your course straight to it. And they'll also show up in your navigation panel, just like a space station or any other point of interest. And you can just fly to it once you're in a system that has them. Now I'm plotting my course to before I jump in the system because I'm playing it in open play just so I don't get, you know, jumped by the star while I'm trying to find it. So you can see I'm currently in open. So this is one trick if you're playing an open play, like a shieldless trade ship or whatever, is pre-plot your course to your destination in a system, so you're not spending that time in Super Cruise navigating once you're in system. Now, you might notice that I often kind of glance up at my social contacts whenever I'm in open play, and this is just for situational awareness. So whenever I see some hollows pop up on my radar, I just quickly glance up to it and it'll tell you what kind of ships they are, or if you happen to have any of those pilots in your contacts, so you know, have an idea of what's around, and you can kind of keep an eye out for the types of builds or types of ships that are usually favored by gankers or power play PvPers. And it's just one good little tip for surviving in open play, especially if you're in a non-combat ship. A lot of people are afraid of open play, but a lot of it is just learning the situational awareness. If you've never dropped into a Titan before, they have a very small window. You have to be within a couple hundred kilometers before you can disengage your FSD. So for your caustic heat sinks, they do have to be in a firing group. You can't hotkey the caustics. So you can see I just have a secondary fire 2 group for my caustics and my collectors in my other group. Now all we want to do is when we're flying around here is we want to just be looking at our contacts and looking for either the propulsion elements or the Titan drives. I find most of the Titan drives close in the middle. No, looks like since the last time I was at the Cojico that most of the caustic seems to be gone, so you might not need any more caustic heat sinks when you come here anymore. Now there is also a lot of RNG involved in finding these. You're going to have a lot of floating objects and materials, and it's just getting the right ones to drop for you. And we're just going to fly around and keep on glancing at our left-hand contacts panel, scrolling up and down. And what we're looking for is the Titan drive or the Thorcoid propulsion materials. Anything outside of that we don't need. And there is, like I said, a lot of RNG involved. One of the things you can do to correct this is the materials and all the items will keep on respawning as you're in the instance. So if you find a lot of stuff that you don't need, like especially in the canisters, like this Thargoid Heart, for example, the Meta Alloys, Titan tissue samples, all that kind of stuff, you can just lock onto them, boost into them, and destroy them, and force respawns of fresher stuff. Same as some of these materials, you can just gather them just to clear them from the instance and force cleaner respawns. But and the amount of time it's going to take you to find these things is completely up to the RNG. Sometimes you can be finding them really quickly. It'll only take you be here for a few minutes and you'll find everything you need. Or you might be flying around here for some time. So for the rest of this video, I'm going to just speed up. I'm going to not make any edits, but I'm just going to fast forward some of the things until I find the things that I'm looking for, just to keep the video from getting too long. As you can see here, we found our first propulsion element, so that's the material that we need, and we'll lock onto that, and then we'll just fly up to it. I will usually keep my item locked when I release my collector limpet, and I know normally if you're mining or gathering other things, you don't like to lock onto things with your collector limpet because you want it to keep collecting. With here, there's so much other kind of floating objects that we don't want. So I want my collector limpet to only collect that one thing and then bring it back to me and just destroy itself. So that's why I'm locking onto it. Otherwise, you know, typically that's usually the thing that you don't do, but in this case, I am doing that on purpose. You can see here we found another propulsion element again. The propulsion elements I do find are fairly easy to find, which I guess is a good thing because they're the things you need a higher number of, but you'll find these pretty consistently. That's the Titan drive component we're looking for. And so as you keep on just destroying things or collecting things, the instance keeps on repopulating itself and respawning in new elements. So all I gotta do is keep flying around and collecting these things. Now, one important thing to remember with the Titan drives, these are physical cargo, so if your ship gets destroyed when you have this in inventory, you will lose it. The propulsion elements, that's just a material, like any other material. You keep that whether they get destroyed or not. So when you do finally get your hands on these Titan drives, you do want to make sure you're not destroyed with it until you either store it in your carrier or go spend it at the tech broker to purchase your FSD drive. I haven't been here for too long, and I've already got a nice number of the propulsion materials and got one Titan drive. So now that we have the bunch of the propulsion elements and we have, we've got at least one Titan drive, we're going to head back over to the tech broker, and I'll go back over there and show you kind of what happens when you cash this in to purchase one. So now I'm just back at the same station with the tech broker that I was at the beginning of this video. And now that we're back from grabbing those components, see, now I'm going to go to technology broker. Let's see that we have all of the things we need now to unlock one and be able to buy one. No, I already have all the ones that I want to have right now, so I may just put my materials in my carrier just to stockpile them for a future one. Or maybe I'll just buy one more just to show you how it works. So unlock core module. It says core module is unlocked. It's now available for purchase in outfitting. Now this message here is a little bit misleading. It does say it's now available for purchase in outfitting, but this is not a permanent unlock like some modules are. This is not permanently unlocked where you can just buy it anywhere. Once you unlock this, if you go to your outfitting, you'll have one of them available for you to equip or to transport to your carrier, another station, whatever. But you can't just buy an unlimited amount of these at any outfitting. As you'll see, I'll go into the outfitting on this station here, and they're only going to have them up to a size 3. There's no 7s or anything available at all whatsoever. And I have confirmed this by going to several other stations. I've even gone to Shinny, to Jamerson Memorial, checked there, and they're not listed. So it's just like some of the other pre-engineered Guardian modules and stuff that when you spend your engineer materials, you get only one, and it just shows up in your outfitting. Now, it's not purchasable, so if you want a second one, you do have to come back here with all the same materials and purchase one again. As you can see here, here's my one pre-engineered. So it has no price because it's not something I can actually buy. It's something I can equip. It's stored here, and then I can transport it back to my other carrier or whatever. And this is the other one that I got from the event or from the community goal. You can see if I go to buy and store modules and we head over to the frameshift drives, it's not available here. This only goes up to size 3. But just to rule out that it might have been unique to just a station, maybe didn't carry 7s. Like I said, I've went to multiple stations, high-tech stations, and even went to Jamerson Memorial in Shinra, and they're not available to purchase. So if you want more, you do have to come back here with the materials, and it costs you those materials per each. So with that, that pretty much wraps up the video. Thanks for watching, and hopefully this helps you unlock the drives if you missed out on the CG, or even if you did do the CG and you just want more. Hopefully this helps you get those. Catch you on the next one.